If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. What we aim to do on this channel is to cover all aspects of the game to help you lower your score. So we're doing it from an instruction standpoint, and we're going to cover some of the best players in the world, having a look at their game and what you can take out of their golf game to help you lower your scores, but also other facets of the long game, short game, all areas, all in the aim to help you shoot lower scores. Now on to today's video, we're going to have a look at the swing and the short game of current new Open champion Shane Lowry. Now, phenomenal performance by Shane at Royal Portrush. We were down there for the final round of the Open. I was down there with my son and my mate. We were there, we viewed it. It was unbelievable scenes. The weather was absolutely atrocious. You know, it was everything that you would almost want to see in an Open in terms of weather to test the players. You had wind, which was howling, rain, which was bordering on being torrential, and then you had the setup of the golf course, which was absolutely phenomenal. And we saw people who are involved in BIGA, which is the British Greenkeepers Association, and they said that they had never seen a golf course set up as well. So all of these things coming into play, it was going to be about a guy who had phenomenal long game, but also a short game due to the unique bits that Royal Portrush had with the way that the elevation changes are around the green due to the dunes, and that meant that somebody had to be a ball striker, be able to change their flights, be adaptable to the conditions, but also have a phenomenal short game. First of all, let's have a look at the swing of Shane. Let's see what it is in there that helps him be so great in those conditions. Is it really as old a swing as everyone goes on and saying it is, or is it a throwback swing, or is there a lot of things in there that the best players in the world today are still doing? And is it a value of what is the modern golf swing? And then let's have a look at what I thought was the most important shot coming down the stretch for him in terms of being able to keep the momentum going before he closed the tournament out. So on the left here is a swing with an iron, and this was right near his home in Portmarnock. This was taken from Shane. So what we'll see here is, you know, first move back, club just works a little bit more under, and he then gets it up towards the top. It is a little bit across the line. A little bit more cup in the left wrist than we'd see a lot of players having, and maybe not quite as much hip turn. What we see here from here though is we see that the left knee still moves, so the transition of all the best players, and we see that this club shallows big style in this direction. So it starts to shallow, it then drops, it's slightly above the forearm here, and then what we then see is from here it drops under, but he then manages to work up and left with the shoulder and open the body up at impact. He's pretty open there, a little bit square in the shoulders, but the club does move around, but the handle's definitely coming in a little higher than we see other players. So he's more of, if we were going to say a throwback movement at all, it is that the club goes under the forearm here and then works up. So it's not going over the top of the forearm and covering the ball as much with the blade. Having a look at this one here from the Open, what this has done is this is to highlight the pinky finger on his right hand, how it is off the shaft right here, and then as that club it's dropped under the forearm, but he then gets the handle to go left with him, but that pinky finger is still off the grip. The other fingers are on the grip. So this is all it's meant to be doing, is to create connection. So that's obviously unique to him, but we can see here it doesn't rejoin and there isn't a flip over of the face. Look at how passive that club face is through the golf ball right here. We will see that that club face stays very square and neutral. We don't see that toe flipping over a whole lot. So that's really interesting. When we have a look at him from a front view here with the driver, what we will see is that once he gets this to the top here, we know it gets across the line a little bit leany. That lower body starts down, and then from here we then see that into delivery, the glove logo is still looking at the sky. This is quite different to what you'll see in a lot of the modern players, where they're getting that glove logo looking more down towards the ball. And then what he does is he sort of opens up the body, the left arm shrugs in a little bit, it's a little bit shorter than we'd see, but we don't see a whole lot of chase in that right hand. But because of the way that he's able to bring this club down with a lot of angle at this point between the left arm and the shaft, so right in here, he's able to really maintain that low loft on the face, which gives him these low flights, which makes him absolutely incredible in the wind. We can see there, he's really got low loft on the face at this point here. He's got it super low down, but he's not flipping the hands over it. He's just maintaining that loft, and then he's able to unwind through it. So he's a classic shot shaper of the ball. Now, we're having a quick look here at the bunker shot, which allowed him to win the Open. So this is the one here on the 13th hole. So what we will see is that it's obviously sand's got very, very wet, uphill a little bit, and it's a unique shot in terms of, with it being so wet, you've got to play it slightly differently to a normal bunker shot. So we can see here a lot of left knee flex, weights most definitely through this left leg in this direction here. So he then pivots around that front knee. We can see how it's flexed even more. He's very much got that club face opening up here. So we can see how open that club face is getting in this direction here. And then what he does is he lets that club set, and then he really starts to keep that loft on the face here. We've got loads of loft right there. And then the leading edge comes into the sand. We can see here, and then it's a much shorter follow through. So we can see how short that follow through is here. That's because the sand is so wet, it's taking all of the energy out of the club. But what we see is that this shot then popped up on the green. It landed onto a downslope, so it doesn't spin as much, obviously. And then it runs out, checks up, just a couple of feet from the hole. So for me, this was the momentum keeper for the round. So let's go out and have a look at why he kept the weight on the front foot and how you can learn to play bunker shots out of wetter sand to give yourself the perfect contact and still be able to control the spin. So what we saw there with Shane is that he had more left knee flex. What this meant is if he kept that knee flex, in which we saw that he did, and the weight very much stays on that front foot, it steepens the attack angle into the ball, which will mean that the leading edge will want to dig a little bit more, okay? Now what he then did is obviously to get the height, because the height was needed to get it over the face like we've got here, and then the green runs away. So they needed the height to get it over the face. You're going to get a bit more spin because you're tending to impact nearer to the ball when you're hitting more down with the leading edge, and that follow through was stopped short because obviously the energy of the club coming into the sand is slowed down by the wet sand, but it's also still got the length of backswing to still give the distance for the shot. What he needed was to get the height on the shot. So what you'd see is that face gets open here, then it stays open at the top, and then that weight stays on the front foot. And it's almost like the club is almost stopping in the sand so that it just pops it up, and then it can just couple of hops and then spin up near the hole. So what you always want to do is make sure you've got wide enough base here, because when you're getting in, you can then create this solid lower half. Get more left knee flex at the start, and then feel like that weight is through that front leg. The idea from here then is going to be that as we get this face open, we can then stop at impact and make sure this follow through is nice and short. So open club face going back, and then a nice short follow through. So that just pops it up over the slope, and it can sort of then start to run out towards the flag. The key is getting that backswing opened up and making it long enough, and making sure that weight stays on the front foot. The length of the follow through will be dictated by how much that club digs in and is slowed down by the sand. So the sand's slightly wet here, not as wet as obviously when you've had a complete deluge like we saw at the Open. But for me, that was a key shot, because what he did, he then obviously holed that putt and then went on to birdie the next. That gave him a 6-shot lead with 3 holes to play, and he could just relax and enjoy, you know, the celebrations that we saw everyone doing on the 18th fairway, which was absolutely phenomenal. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. If there's more stuff you'd like covering from players, shots that you've seen them play under pressure in the final holes of big tournaments, or speciality shots, please comment. Let us know what you'd like covering to help your game. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. As always, thanks for watching, and talk with you again soon.